So Grant, I popped in to see you. I was given a tip off by one of the guys on our comments page saying, put your lunch of meat through a maggot riddle, Graham. That's the way to do it. I put it through, I tried to cut it off, it was a mess.
A mess. So, you might have misunderstood what he meant then, Graham. So, when he said push it through a maggot riddle, it might have been for when they push it into meat, they use it in a ground bait, they'll get the meat and squash it through the riddle, like this, and then what you essentially get is out the bottom.
It's like a mush.
And you'd feed that as well within your thing. But
so that would go in with ground bait?
Go in ground bait, I would say, or a pellet, something like a fine pellet. So,
oh, that's the reason, because I put thin bits in and it wasn't working. You know,
wasn't working, right. So yeah, you struggle like hell to hook them, unless you get the tinies. So this is a meat car, bit of a new invention from what I grew up with. I grew up with this down the fishery, cutting cubes of meat every Saturday. Used to do 60 bags of all sorts of meat. So, and
that's wire in there?
Yeah, that's wire. So what you do is drop your meat in the top, push it through, turn it sideways, put your plunger on that side and push it through that.
Oh, it goes through here.
But as you can see, she's a bit worse for wear and been used a lot and a bit broken. So we've got a new version, which has still been well used. So this is by map. You get different size bits and pieces to go on here. And what we actually do is we're pushing the meat through the cubes. So we cut one way, which would be a slice. Which
got blades instead of wire.
That's it. And the thing to remember with this, if you ever purchase one to have a go, the blades are sided. So they're sharper one side than the other. So if you struggle to push your meat in, it's because the blades are the wrong way round.
Ah, good tip.
So we'll give you a little demo now. So best lunch meat on the market for fishing in my eyes.
Yes.
I'll show you in 2 seconds. I'll get the meat out. It used to be called plum rose, which a lot of anglers know, but it's now been bought out by this company, Royal Dane, pork luncheon meat. The reason is nice and firm, you can side hook the bait, it doesn't fall off, whereas you will find some of the spams and stuff, especially when it's warm and the fat's really soft.
They go soft.
You'll hook it, you'll cast and think, what's that plop noise over there, and it was your meat fell off, whereas I can pretty much guarantee you can put this on a waggler and proper whack it out there 30-40 yards and you still have some luncheon meat on your hook. Okay, so this is the size to match the blades pushes through. It just basically pushes the meat through the last bit of the riddle, whereas we used to use a paintbrush years ago and push it out. So
I'm looking for like maybe roach. I'm not done good on perch on those. Bream stroke tench. I'm hopefully I don't want big cubes. I really want carp.
With one of these you can buy different size ones to start with as the base, but you might get a 4mm cutter set, a 6mm cutter set, or even like this one's a 10mm I think. Okay. So what we're going to do, so first of all, we're going to push the meat, is in the top there, we're going to push it straight down through, just like that, so we just make sure it's gone all the way through. As you can see it's down now, okay. So you see the meat's dropped down now, and then we've got to push it through the other way, which then gives us...
So that's done one cut already?
That's done one cut, whole tin, and then we got, obviously in there, you can see the squares.
Yes.
That's what our meat is going to end up looking like, and that is the squares that should be able to push it straight out. So. You want to keep it over a bait box of some sort. We can do it straight on the side, depends how much your missus likes it.
The carpet.
So I generally push it like that because I find it easy that I don't get it everywhere. Right, you see there's no meat left in there. And if I just put, you'll get an odd one that looks like a sausage shape, but it's cubed.
That's perfect, wasn't it?
Now you've got meat. Whereas, you know, if you sat there chopping it with your knife, you'd be there a while doing that. So it's a 2-minute job. If you use meat a lot, get yourself a meat cutter, you can't go wrong with them.
Do you keep them as a stock item or just
most shops keep a meat cutter by map. They're generally in, so they come in a box. The tubes, they're about 35 quid, but it's up to you. You can chop it with anything, but very quick, easy, nice cubes, hookable. As I was saying about the meat being a nice sort of, it's nice and tough.
Yes.
It's not going to come off. You can get other types of meat, flavoured meats, so because Graham's a bit back in the times with the old meat. Flavoured meats. You get strawberry meat, which is red.
Strawberry meat.
Scopex and pineapple, which is yellow.
Scopex I can live with, I'm not sure about yellow.
We got, this is just a luncheon meat, this is a natural version by Mainline. Then Dynamite, do a robin red. I'm even going to open this one to show you this one. Right, because this one's worth having a look at. So this is my top seller at the moment.
Is that right there?
Robin red luncheon meat.
Robin red do a boilie as well, don't they?
That's it. So you can see there, the meat's just coloured, nice and firm textured, so it's never going to come off the hook.
Yeah.
As you can smell that, it's, for me, I could eat that.
I was going to say, I haven't had lunch yet,
you get the yellow luncheon meat. It's corn flavoured, bits of corn in. So bright yellow, good in the spring yellow meat I found.
Would you mix corn and the ground bait as well with that maybe, and then bounce
Possibly,
between the two?
Yeah, a little bit, yeah, bounce between the two, because there is corn actually within that meat itself.
Yeah.
And they do one with marine halibut as well, so you've got bits of pellet in there.
Me, I'd probably be drawn to that because it's
Yeah.
got halibut in it, you know, the smell of fishy smell.
Yeah.
However, I'm like you, I find just regular luncheon meat,
nice
I
and
don't have a
easy.
problem with it.
It's getting more difficult to find in the shops because it's not such a staple diet these days,
Yeah.
but it's still available. I buy pallets of meat.
Really?
When I
In
buy
bulk?
a pallet, yeah, I have to buy 2,700 tins at a time.
Wow.
Just to be able to get hold of that particular meat.
And it keeps, yeah.
It keeps, it's got a long date on it. You won't be able to buy this particular meat at B&M and other places, but they only seem to have it periodically. They don't have
Yes.
it long term. So,
Yeah.
you know, most tackle shops will stock this. I supply quite a few people with that as well because it's just the better meat out there for fishing.
Now, because I'm going float fishing, I'm going to try old school float ledger. You remember when they used to have a little baby short running ledger
Yeah.
and the float sitting up?
Yeah.
Just to do something different right in the margins. So I'm going to do that. What sort of weight would I use now?
What do you mean?
Couple of swan shot.
On the bottom?
It used to go down the float and then you got come across
How
the ledge
deep are you
weight.
fishing?
Well, about 5 feet. It's over
5
what
feet?
more?
I'd probably be happy with just a swan shot on there.
Yeah, just a
That'd be me. Yeah, SSG, or as you would know as a swan shot.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, probably just one on there, I'd say.
What's the difference between a swan shot and SSG? Because
Slightly different
you're
size.
not. It is a
Slightly
different size, isn't
yeah.
it? Would I be correct in saying the swan shot was coming from shotgun for shooting swans?
Yes.
It was indeed. Sorry to upset anybody.
No, no, from back in the days, it's all
Yeah.
changed. SSGs, you get an SA as well, that's in between an
Oh,
SSG
really?
and a treble A.
What's that for goose shooting or something?
I'm assuming so. But you don't see it that often anymore.
Yeah.
You'll see the standard patterns. You'll see SSG is your bigger shot, a 2 SSG and a 3
Oh,
SSG.
doubles. I've seen a 2
which is
SSG.
you know, they're quite big. So.
Now, I don't want carp. That's why I want this little size here. You can see, guys, look, they're really what I call nice huggable size. You had some ground bait
Yeah.
that was your mix of little finer stuff because you know I'm a bit heavy-handed and I don't want to put too much. I want to use a little bit of ground bait. What would I use in, you know, respect to your type of ground bait?
So if you want to stay away from carp, it's quite difficult this time of year because they're very active, as you know. Especially because it was early mornings, late evenings, the carp were on fire ready for feeding. But something without fish meal, without as much oil, because they are very attracted to it. So I would use something like the sweet skimmer in there or something like that, which I can show you a couple in a second, Graeme. Was what you'll remember is fishing ground baits, Census Lake, Census Magic. They're not fish meal based, they're breadcrumb based, they're sweet flavours. They're just, it was my go-to sort of ground baits for general fishing.
Because where I go around, I have noticed there's almost a trend that people don't, on a sort of thing, carp people, they don't want to catch loads of small carp. They want silvers, they want tench,
I would say
roach, they want different
where
fish.
There's been so many carp stocked over the years, they've exploded now.
Yeah.
They are everywhere. Every river, every water course, there is carp. So people are liking to catch bream, tench, crusions, things that we remember catching. So we've got a little guest here hiding for the meat.
Yes, oh, he's coming for the meat, smell the dog, yeah.
So, so one of the ground baits, now I can show you a couple if you like, Graeme.
Yeah.
So on ground baits, just your general standard stuff. I'd be looking at either something like Census Lake, you've got dark, you get natural, we do have red but I've run out of the minute unfortunately, so we've got Census Magic. So Magic I like because it has quite a bit of brown crumb in it, so when you mix it up it really fluffs up, you can go a bit further. But this time of year when you're feeding, little and often feeding, and normally I'd mix my ground bait up from like the videos you've seen what we've done, and I'd squeeze wherever I can get in my hand, as hard as I can squeeze it, and I'd knock that little ball in half, and that's my little feeding ball.
Pellets, like little golf ball size.
Just little golf ball size, just little top up. So fish for a bite, get a bite, top it up. Top up, little and often. And that, for me, that works.
Because if I pile it in, I'm fairly sure we're going to get the carp moving. Yeah.
I mean, they will show up at some point because they do. But if other fish are active, the carp come looking as well.
They do. They pick up on the vibes, yeah.
So a lot of this stuff up here is non-fish meal based. When you start getting on the crazy bait stuff by sensors, generally got fish meal in it, which makes the fish a bit more. They feed on it a bit harder, they seem to, especially this time of year. But I say, any of these, Census Magic, Lake, I'd be quite happy on that. We've got various other varieties now because you do so many.
Yeah, I can see it.
You've also got Sony baits, so the So Natural ranges. So again, very similar to what we just showed you in Lake and Magic. They do Black Lake, Black Roach, Sweet Skimmer. That's been one of the top favourites this year. So there's plenty of bits of maize particles in there. I don't know if you can spot them on the camera there.
Yeah, but on that will be a few skimmers on. Look at the big fish, just fish, you know.
Yeah, fish. So I would suggest something like one of the natural ground baits without the fish meal to avoid the carp, really.
Brilliant.
Right.
Appreciate that. Thank you very much, Grant. And hopefully, at some stage, I might come back and get you to make some giant cubes cut up in your machine for the Y barbel.
For the Y barbel, half a tin, Graeme, straight on.
Yeah. Well, it's pretty interesting seeing that little machine Grant's got in Tackle Up shop there. So I'm down here at, where else? Whatmore. Yes, it's close to me. Recognise the swim, don't know what number it is. I come here just to get out the wind. The umbrella behind me is just giant umbrella. Must be nearly 50 years old now. I've had it years. Holes in it as well, can't help it. I might glue them up at some stage, but it's to get out of the wind for you guys with the microphone. So all I've got is a tiny half a pint of ground bait there. Gonna squeeze it in a little pellet like this. I've already plumbed. I'm only going. Look, I've got a 13-foot match rod. Just so you know, there's the float going there. It's about 8 feet out. I've got a quiver tip rod here. I'm figuring fishing on the edge of that swim there. I could put the rod up there, and because you can see that it's a dark background there, I balance it there, I should be able to see any bites. I'm going to be fishing with the I'm calling it Grant's luncheon meat because it was. I'm going to try that. It's about the right size. I think he said it was 10 mil. I'm just going to do a few pinches each time like this. I'm sure the roach, I can demolish it on the way down, but anything gets to the bottom, I'm hoping for bream, or might be an outside chance of a tench. I'm definitely not using a lot of ground bait because I don't want to get, if I can help it, carp. I'm figuring roach, bream, tench. Yeah, we know they're going to turn up at some stage. I've plumbed the depth. I'm going to say it's about 5 feet there. Shallower close in here, and it drops right off out there. About a size 12 hook, I suppose. I've got a shot here just to take it down, hopefully through the roach, and the bulk of the shot are underneath the float as per their normal waggler float. Let's get it out, see if we get a bite. I have no other bait at all. I've got some of that robin red luncheon meat, which I will be cutting up and trying. I might try on a bigger hook. So all I'm going to do with this hook is probably a tad big, but it'll do. Just there, tiny cube of luncheon meat. Almost underhand cast to get it out there. Check the drag. It's on Thresher struck. That's on Thresher shark drag, that one. That's it. I'm on 5 pound line straight through. I'm guessing I should be just on the bottom there. There's a roach just come up. I can't put it on back line because I'm just letting it literally just rest on the grass, so the first indication other than a float going under will be the rod getting dragged in. Already that's sunk down as a luncheon meat weight has also added to the single shot. I might have to take the single shot off. The other rod, Avon quiver tip. I've got no running ledger, I just got a treble A shot on there. Has that float gone or not? No. That's right. I missed it. Right, let's concentrate on one at a time. I've just got a treble A shot there, just going to say it's just resting on the bottom. I'll put a bit of luncheon meat on that. I'm going to stick with that one sort of 10 mil size of meat first. I must admit, when it's all cut up like this, it's very easy just to go fishing straight away. I'm just going to rest that one on the top there, just tighten up, and that's it. Stake the umbrella down a bit, otherwise it's off with the fairies over there, but it's not great fishing conditions. There's only 3 people here today, I'm not surprised. It's just gone 3 o'clock in the afternoon, so I've got 3 hours fishing. Try and catch something on this meat. No bites as yet. I've taken that last small shot off, and immediately I've got one or two roach bumping it and stopping the meat getting to the bottom. So by now it should be sinking under its own weight, but the small roach will be banging it and knocking it around, stopping it getting to the bottom where the bream and hopefully bigger fish, tench, might be as a bite. Very, very small. I imagine a small roach have got it at the moment. I've got about the only bay on the entire lake that doesn't have wind. I'm not altogether sure about this red one. He was saying this is their best seller, this one, at this moment in time as we make the film. I think what I'll do is I'll get my knife and cut up a few cubes of that. Can go in loose and put one on the hook. Well, I've cut it and it absolutely is certainly red, no question of that. So I'm going to go for slightly bigger pieces. It's very firm, I will say that, very, very firm. More so than standard luncheon meat, I think. My knife, by the way, is blunt. It seems some weird stuff. See how long it takes me to cube up the same amount as it would do with Grant's little machine. It's been a very, very windy week. Now, whether that's going to put the fish off, I do not know. Put a few of these out there. Oh man, I would have come back with a pair of lips on that strike. Guy's a quiver tip rod. It's not a roach, I tell you, it's a bream, but he's right in the lily set and halfway out the other side. So this could be a one-way ticket. It's a carp. He's out. And he's in. Get it. Oh. Nicely marked fish. All I saw was a rough folded ground. I'll have to come behind their umbrella to get any sound at all. Wow, that was a weird one, because I fished it on the edge of the swim. I put barely any bait in at all to keep away from the carp, and carp about 8 pounds. And here comes the rain. Happy days. Mind you, it's not all bad. It's my first fish on red luncheon meat. Got a fish on the float, people. I can't believe it. I think it's going to be a perch, is it? It's a perch. I don't normally catch perch on luncheon meat. There might be something in this red luncheon meat that Grant was talking about. Next cast out. Obviously, plainly, obviously, another carp. And I had another perch come off, to be honest, on the float, and that was on plain small 10mm luncheon meat. The float's still in over there. Just there. There's a bite. I've got the camera in my mouth. Gone. Missed it. Well, that goes the theory of not feeding heavily to attract the carp doesn't mean anything down here at Watmore, because there's no shortage of fish. It's a weird fight with this one. He's just sort of pinwheeling, as you can see, like a tuna. I wonder if he's hooked in the dorsal fin. It's like I'm fishing with a big live bait for a tiger shark. Look, he's just going around in circles. Full bend on the rod. Guess I just got to let him try and wear himself out. He'll change direction. Oh no, he's hooked okay. Oh, he's off. Look, he's come off. But he's in the net. Let him go straight away, guys. 5-pounder. Hook pinged out. Got to keep the camera virtually under the umbrella. Unfortunately, the wind is shocking. I've had a good week of this, getting bored with it. All the people want to go sea fishing, beach fishing, boat fishing, getting blown off. Oh, that was a bite on that. Or seasick, or just having it cancelled, which is really annoying when you're in the middle of the what we call the summer, as it were. And we'll just tighten up this by using the spool, just to put a little bit of tension in that tip. I actually made a plan B of what I thought would be a sort of mesh meat cutter. It might actually work with that rubber med one, because it's way firmer. So while we haven't got a bite going on for a second, I'll show you. So this is what I made. Bits of wood with probably about a 10mm. Let's have a look. I bet that's not far off of 10mm. It's the fencing gauge that I make my swim feeder out of. No, it's small. Must be 8mm fencing. I've cut it, pinned it on, and I'm going to cut like a strip, is what I had in my mind, like this, and sort of push it through. So I'm going to give it a go. The worst case scenario, I can use it as a grating one to put in ground bait, you know, if I wanted to, like Grant was telling us. So I had it in my mind to do this. Let's put that up here and hope we... Oh, I just missed that one. Come on, Smith, man. You're supposed to be on watch duty. Pulled it right round. That could have been a bream. Will it push through? See, it's gone through. Watch these rods. It's gone through. And, in fair play, Graeme, that's how it works. But they're not obviously as neat as a cut one. But that is easily adequate enough for ground baiting, loose feed and or ground baiting. I'm going to try another one of those. I can't do the whole thing in one go, so I just kind of cut a slice off like that, which I figure is about 8mm. I'm going to feed this stuff anyway. I suppose you could do it, put it in there and push it through that way, makes no difference. That might be, and then I'd squash the bait underneath. So I've got it like this. I clear the mesh off and then smoothly, evenly, with an even pressure. Seems to go better starting around the outsides actually. See what I'm doing, pushing it around the outsides. But you've got to feel the wire underneath. Learning as I go along. There we go. Look at this. Oh my goodness me. Now I couldn't do that with the maggot riddle. It didn't work. But it's certainly working with this. Wow, I'm so impressed with myself. Got to make a better frame than that. That's just an experimental frame, as so many things are with me. But look at that. There is absolutely nothing wrong with that. Certainly for loose feed, and I reckon for roach, you know, if I got a smaller hook, I might even try. Oh! I forget the smaller hooks, Graham. I've dropped it all now. Goodness me. I think guys got that on camera. I'm just going to move my float rod out of the way because I hate shotting floats. Let's go right for those lilies. He's in them. He is in them. It's a kick out. I've got to keep maximum pressure on. He's right by me. He knows he can bust me off in the lilies. I think I got him. Out. I haven't got him. I've got him out. Whoa, that's a fat one. Well, I'm in love with a red luncher meat at the moment, folks. I'm trying to work different angles on him to make him wear out quicker. Like that. He's in. I'd say he's up there with that first one. Well, I got that crash tape pull round when I was talking about those, the grill I'm using. The cage is absolutely howling. I've got the float out with a small 10mm piece of plain luncheon meat. What a day, what an afternoon. And put the robin red just on ledgering on the bottom, just laying there resting on the bottom and waiting to see if I can pull it round. Just annoying when it's really horrible weather and you want a nice bit of float fishing, or what I call a bit more sort of delicate fishing. I might try really small pieces. I've got a feeling you would pick some big roach up if you had like a size 18 hook, probably a 5mm, half of that 10mm size on there. But as you can see, not much ground bait there, but well pleased with that, because that obviously does work. So if you just want to be stuck on one, let's say that's 8mm size, and you're happy with that, margin fishing for bream, tench, roach and obviously carp, you just make yourself up one of those. If you want the different types, big ones, small ones, all the different cutters, give Grant a ring and see if you can pick up one of those cutting units, and that way you get all different sizes for all different eventualities. Don't use this robin red if you don't want to catch anything but carp and lilies. I think he's out. It's just folded round, people. Ledgering on the bottom with a treble 8 shot. And I've slid one of the 4 BBs under the float underneath. Oh, he's going for those lilies. Underneath the float, I've taken those one of those shot and put it down about 6 inches from the hook, trying to anchor it on the bottom for the legendary bream or tench I was after. I'm going to bing this off, guys, this camera, while I fight this fish, so I've at least got batteries in case I do get bream or tench. Here comes a fish. I think, to be honest, he's a touch bigger. Oh yeah, that is a bigger one. Jesus, look at the chair. Poor baby. Bloody tornado. covered in slime. But another fish. The camera's still running. What is it with this weather? Big trouble on the float. Big trouble. Big weeds. What a fucker. Oh, got the camera in my mouth again. That's why he gave me a lot of trouble, guys. I reckon that's a double. That one's going to go, I'm guessing about 10 to 11 by the side of his tail as well. 4 on the ledge and 1 on the float. And that's a plain piece of luncheon meat, by the way, not the red one. So it's 4-1 to red. Well, a bit of a downside, guys. I've got another one, but the downside is I've got it in the rushes there. I knew I was on the limit with the rod tip, and it's broken my match rod on the tip. Pulling it hard, you know, with a acute angle, so I've broken it a lot. I'll probably fish with it a bit, but I've got to repair it. I'm hoping I haven't lost too much. So it was always going to happen. I knew it was going to happen, and it did. Probably going to lose my favourite float as well. Well, I'm back in action with the river float, and I had a feeling, I seen little swirls come out when I threw the ground bait, and I figured it were a roach. You know, it could be a decent roach. I think I've got one on here, if he's still on, and he's not. We'll see if we can catch a decent roach out there. Pretty sure they're swirling. Weather's coming in, looking a little bit ominous there for rain. Best him, and a tangle. If you're using the river float, that means I've got top and bottom fixing. Well, it's fixed everywhere at the moment, it's really tangled up, so I'll have to sort that out. Got the ledger one out there though, with red luncheon meat. That's gone very quiet, but of course this time in the afternoon, late afternoon, could go off any time. One thing I do find not to my liking is the fact that you cut all this up, this meat. If you look at it now, yeah, hour and a half up the road, couple of hours up the road, it's gone grey. And I like, when I go barbel fishing and chub fishing, to cut fresh cubes so you can see the actual fresh meat. When I'm still fishing, I'm still catching. You see, you just get a little bit extra colour on the inside. That's the inside, then it goes grey, very grey on the outside. I bumped some roach off, which is a shame. I wanted to show you roach, but I keep bumping them off. Nothing on the quiver tip at the moment. And I'm still flogging away with the cut up stuff. I've got about an hour left, I think, before I call it quits. So it's been a good session, apart from breaking the tip off my best match rod, which I've had for like 30-40 years, and losing one of my good floats I've had for 2 years. But hey ho, it's the price you pay to bring you guys fish. I had a couple more small carp, like 3-pounders. That I think they're fairly relatively new ones, and they're pretty little mirrors though. But with the meat going that colour, if you want to keep a decent colour, it's the best. In your bait tin, put some water and then put this in the water, and that generally will slow up that grey drying out of the skinning of the outside of the meat. And I just feel it's better. But it has gone a bit quiet now. I think one more fish would do me. I feel the very slight drop in the wind means up there. Yeah, it's looking. Always looks worse when you're wearing polarising glasses, and it looks ominous and thundery, but it does look a bit wet. So, fingers crossed I get back to the car dry. I feel a cold beer coming, and so a nice, fresh pasta. Wife's got that going. I'm quite taken with the red luncheon meat, and it is definitely tougher, so I've learnt something there. And I've got a bit more to feed. I've bumped 4 or 5 roach off, but I really can't be bothered to go down to a small hook, because I know that I can catch them on meat. But you can see my plan has gone totally skew with, because I didn't want to catch any carp, and I've had nothing but carp. I want to catch bream and tench, and I've not even seen one. But I still had my string pulled. Yeah, and my rod broken, and my best float lost. Well, I've got a different fish on, but he's gone into the other line, so I'm going to have to open the bail, back the drag off of this one, so I can fight the fish in and sort the tangle out later. It just doesn't feel quite like a carp. Good bend in the rod. That looks like a what you call a tench swell. That I'm going to call this one target species if I get it. What is that? Or is that a small carp? Oh, it's one of those chuggy little, what's it, carps? What I call a nuisance carp. Yeah, I thought it was a tench for a second. So, that's 8 I've had, but not 8 of these, luckily. So there'd be a nice pretty little fish in years to come, but a bit small. Oh, just when I thought it was a tench to finish off with. Oh, I'm just finishing off the bait, people. I just keep losing roach. I know they're roach. I'm standing up now. I'm just trying to keep some bait tumbling down all the time, and then I've got to drop my bait in the middle of it like this, just let all those particles go down. Now I'm going to swing quickly out. I've cut that 10mm down to 5mm. I've cut them actually in half, and I'm trying to get right in the middle of that lot. There we go. Thank goodness for that. I knew they were roach. Not a big fish, of course not a big fish. There are some nice ones in here, but nevertheless a roach on luncheon meat. And of course you'll notice I've shallowed right up as well. Bit tricky to catch when they're a single piece of meat on its own, but if you put some bait in there, which I don't have a lot left now, you can get them going and get them coming off the bottom. I'm going to put that float a little bit deeper. Now I should have a waggle float, but I cannot be bothered to get them out. That should be a better depth now where they might be more confident near the bottom. Missed it. Out we go. Let it sink. Drop in the middle. Wind, wind, wind. Let's check that out. Hopefully no rain. 15-minute warning, guys. Don't like this float at all. That's the luncheon meat, guys. That's red luncheon meat. That is my last piece of luncheon meat. The other half of that has just got me a bedrock, a tiny piece like that. I've got the fish. The wind is shocking. Umbrella's on the move again. Fire fish move the goddamn umbrella. Give us a break. Packing up after this one, people. If I get it. Losing more and more. Haven't seen him yet. Yeah, he's about the same size. Let's have a look before he pings off. Remember, this rod has no tip ring. I'm just fighting it with the intermediates.
Okay, Graeme, so this is a very brand new product from Fish, which is a topwater surface lure called the Biotop. Okay, this actually won the FTEX award for best new product. Was it a couple of years ago or was it last year? I can't remember. Within the last 2 years, this has won the plaudits in Budapest, and we were actually there with the Fish team when they won the award. It's a unique lure. It looks similar to a lot of other freshwater fresh or seawater topwater lures, but it isn't. It's a totally biodegradable lure. It comes in packaging that doesn't involve any glue. All of the hooks are non-chemically sharpened. It's hand assembled in France. And it has a walk the dog action, inbuilt rattle, okay, inside, glass beaded eyes, okay, and it's a very unique concept. Everything about this lure on the surface looks similar to other stuff. As soon as you scratch the varnish with the Biotop, you realise it's completely different. And they certainly do catch as well. This is the only colour we've got on the table at the moment, which they call a white pepper.
What's that sort of line down the middle? Is that the weight?
It's all part of the construction process, Graeme. It's an internal steel belly line you can see there. I can't quite remember how they assemble these things, but the concept behind the lure and the reason it's called the Biotop is it's an environmentally friendly fishing product, and in every way, from the packaging to the materials that are used in the construction, and like I say, due to the fact that the hooks are non-chemically sharpened, it's a unique lure and something that we were very excited to get, and they've been in very short supply because they're handmade in France. They're not mass-produced in China. They are hard to get hold of. There's 3 colours. This is what they call a white pepper. They now do a silver sparkle one, and they do a dark coloured one, more of a black, like a dark shadow, if that's the sort of thing you're after.
So that wouldn't work so much for pike fishing, would it, freshwater angling? That's more of a topwater bass lure. It's certainly more the shore or the boat, I'd imagine.
It's certainly more of a topwater bass lure, walk the dog kind of action.
Yep.
This is 110 mil, I think, this size. They top secret. They are bringing out a smaller one, an 80 mil, which you will be able to fish a different way, but I can't go into it too much at the moment.
Okay.
But that's the Biotop. Moving on to one other thing that we can discuss with fish lures. Now, standard fish packaging, you normally get 1 complete lure, okay, with a head, and you will get 1 spare body. So if you get chewed up with the wrasse or the bass, hopefully, you can refit the body onto the jig head. And the best product that we have ever seen in the fishing is the fish glue. Okay, this is not a standard super glue off the shelf. You can't go and buy it at B&Q. The fish guys in France have had this specially formulated to work in salt water when it's wet. And just trust me, it's head and shoulders above any other Delta Bond, glue, super glue, no nails, you name it. That is the glue to use if you're out at sea, got wet hands, and you're trying to glue a wet head to a spare body. One drop of this, what you would do, I don't know if this one's glued on, yeah, that one is glued on, but we can find one that isn't over here.
And if somebody had a split tail or a split in it, they could still, the glue would still hold that together.
The glue will still hold it. You just add a touch of glue behind the jig head there. Most of the jig heads, in fact I think all of the jig heads from the fish stuff, have a very small concave impression in the glue. Just clever enough to take 1 or 2 drops of that. That's all you need, 1 or 2 drops.
That's actually what it's there for then?
That's what it's there for. Yeah, these guys do think of everything. And 1 or 2 drops, you hold it for a couple of seconds and you're good to fish. It's off like that. Be very careful you don't get it on your hands or stick your fingers together, because I've done it loads of times when I've been building lures out there. Everything gets stuck together very quick. Fish glue, there's no replacement for it. That is the best on the market, and the fish guys have had this specially formulated for saltwater and freshwater fishing when you're wet. So that's the business.
Okay, so now we come to the business of countryside, and what better part of the Hampshire countryside than what they call Old Winchester Hill. And the Isle of Wight, you won't see in this, but it's way over there on the back. So it's up high, and it is actually, well, it's a sort of fault type living area from back in whatever times it was they built these things, and they lived in this sort of depression, if you can see it just to the centre of the picture coming in there now. There's people in the distance, you can see it's like a big oval top and sunken in the middle there. Obviously very good being protected from attack, and fabulous plants that grow up there, wild plants. But I do wonder, it seemed fairly limited to me for variety of different wildflowers, and I wonder, is that because it's absolutely high up and hammered by the wind? You've got the sort of heathers there by the look of it. It just gets blasted by the wind. If there's any wind, it gets it. So it does make me wonder, does that sort of limit the environmental area to certain plants that don't mind wind? But what a brilliant place to go and do, and you can do 360. You can go right round this top of this sort of encampment area, settlement that used to be years ago. And you can look right round the countryside at this corner of Hampshire and see enormous distances. You can see there's quite a slope down there in front of me, and there's the OS, the Ordnance Survey. I guess that's a number, and they must have had some sort of theodolite thingy on top of there, fitting in there for what? Or maybe it was a machine gun post. I like to think of that, as I'm a 1950s boy. There in fact is a plate that's put January 74 with all the details of the OS maps and directions and what's where. If you stand looking in different distances across here, from the top of this Winchester Hill, you can see over to the north, the west, the east, the south. You can see all the different places, and way in the distance you can see Fawley Power Station, Cowshot Power Station, the Isle of Wight across is in the distance if you look at that angle, Portsdown Hill, Chichester Harbour, the scene of the launch of my boat when I did have it before I sold it, and that's over that way. Obviously a long way off. Now, while I was in the area, I thought I'm going to pop down and look at this river, because it is absolutely pristine, and it's probably one of the last pristine chalk streams I should think we've got left that isn't polluted beyond belief. Amazingly pretty English countryside, English country chalk stream there, beautiful clear water, lovely stream of weed, and of course it does have fish in it. It is, as far as I know, all no fishing, so perhaps not best to get too excited about it, but I thought I'd just show it to see what the clarity of water used to be like. Now listen, the Hampshire Raven years ago, I'm talking 50, 60 years ago, looked like this, with huge shoals of barbel, chub, roach, dace, pike, bream, you name it, whatever in there. Because now all things have changed big time. But it's still nice to come, and I thought I'm going to take the camera and just show the photos, because in this particular stretch of this particular river, there are some enormous grayling. I'm talking, I've seen fish that I think possibly might be certainly 3 pounds, maybe getting up towards the limit, maybe 4 pounds. Look at that fish there. They're not small 1 pound grayling. But even so, as soon as they come away from the fast water, look at the muck on the bottom of the gravel. It's weird, it's got all this algae stuff growing on there. So maybe, I'm saying it's a totally unpolluted river. Maybe it's not, because even if there's not a sewage pumping station pumping doo-doo down the river like it does, it could be just runoff from the fields, from the various herbicides and fertiliser that everybody piles into the, well, not everybody, but the farmers pile onto their crops to get bigger and bigger growth yields. Look at that beauty, my goodness me. And the one there's even bigger. They don't look big underwater because this is a wide angle camera, but trust me, when you're looking at them from above, they are some very big grayling. It's just, I don't like the look of the gravel. The rest of the gravel looks as though there's no sort of life there, doesn't it? It looks a sort of desolate moonscape of brown whatever, whereas the faster pace washes all that away. Where I filmed earlier upstream, downstream it slows in pace. That must allow the sediment to sink towards the bottom, and then you get this weird brown weed growth there. Let's look underwater with the camera, see what we spot. There's one in the distance. Look at that fish. That's got to be 3.5 pound grayling there, of anybody's money, because you've got a beautiful sort of turquoisey colour to it, the water there. That's a big fish. People, that is a big fish. I just thought, towards the end of this film segment, oh my God, I want to catch it on a little worm on a float. Look at the size of that. Looks like a heron stabbing its side, and maybe an otter tear on its fin, because obviously they still get stuff maybe in this river trying to kill these fish. Fabulous area, lovely, lovely piece of countryside. Nice to see. I thought you folks might like to see it. There's actually a sort of culvert that comes in from a side stream there, and you can see there's an enormous grayling just laying in the current there, and the clear gravel is nice to see. There you go folks, hope you've enjoyed this film, and thanks again for watching.